Right, carrying on from our previous video where we completed boss 1, we are now going to get the key. Since I have the spark plug, I need to wait till people are in position where you can see Chronix, Kaiser, and I will put the key in here and then turn this lovely little thing. They will throw grenades through a window that opens up, and once you hear the explosions, hopefully they've hit the box, which will open up the door where we currently stood, and there is your first key for the chest at the end, where we will be receiving our lovely Ravenous, if we're lucky, which is like a 5% drop chance, so we probably won't be that lucky. The next area is pretty simple. There's two groups of ads. One spawns at the door at a midway point, one spawns at a door right near the end. One of those ads, typically it is one of the engineer guys that puts a turret on the floor, will drop a key. On the left hand side of this room or corridor there are 3 terminals, and at the very far end there is a box where we need to put a spark plug. So what we do is we kill all the ads in our way. As you can see, there is a control point to the left there, another one just, well, you got a caught a glimpse of it there. There you go, see it there. And then the third one is we're going to run past it. So there is 1, 2 and 3. Killing the ads here. There is the spark plug. One person will pick that up and place it in the fuse box just behind where I was standing. 3 people will be waiting there as the spark plug goes in. Typically we do what's called press when you see it, which means you'll see an interact icon come up, and the moment you see it, just press, and that will close the furnace, which completes this interaction. That allows us to progress through here and get the lovely little "I've seen it a million times" feature. Basically all that will happen is the game will try and zoom in on somewhere and it will slow you down. Quickly tap your ADS, right click, aim down sight or whatever button it is for you, and it will remove it, and we're just going to run straight through to the furnace. Luckily we are a pretty proficient team, so we all know exactly where we're going to go. But just to give you the rundown, there are 4 or 5 factors in this fight, depending on how good you are. You have A side, B side and C side. Each one will have waters. I've just shown where the waters are on B. This is the C side, they are the waters. And if you look in the chat pretty damn soon, I'm pretty sure someone's going to start entering. That's the water count on A. Someone else will put the waters in for B and C. But just to show you where the waters are on A, there are 3 on A, 1, 2, 3, where B and C both only have 2. You typically have 2 people on A, 2 people on C. One person can cover B side by themselves. There'll be a forge tank, has a very specific build to go into the forge. There'll be a control room, and there'll be one person upstairs. I am running upstairs. Now, this entire interaction for boss 2 is completely controlled by the person in the control room and the person in the forge. They are the 2 most important people here. I will cover these on a later date. For the purpose of this video, our control room is going to be doing a broken glass technique, which I'll explain further in another video. But because he is doing broken glass, I only need to be upstairs for 1 interaction. There will be 5 interactions in total. Essentially, there are pictures, and we need to play a game of match the pictures. I will go through this more in depth in another video. However, just for a quick go through, the person in the forge is going to be looking at a scrolling text bar which will depict a code. They will read this code and translate it into the screen the person in the control room needs to read. And essentially what they will visualize in a sort of sense will be this. The way I remember it quite simply is just by going FPC RM numbers. it gets drilled into you after a while. So whatever code they see, if it starts with an F, it's 1. If it starts with a P, it's 2. If it starts with a C, it's 3. And they will just say screen 1, screen 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. The person in the control room will then look at the appropriate screen and they will see one of these. Now different groups will call these, some will say full cup on a belt, empty cup on a belt. We just do double belt, broken belt, full hook, etc, where you can just follow the picture. Simply because, 1, it's quicker, 2, as you sort of get a bit more comfortable, you'll realise that particularly when it comes to, I've generally had this before in a raid group, I said double belt, and they asked me whether it's full or empty cups on a belt, and I was like, it's double belt. I didn't get what they were asking, simply because in my head I know that if it's 2 cups on a belt or a hook, doesn't matter if they're full or empty, they are the only ones that come with doubles. They will be empty for the sake of argument, so I kind of get what they're coming from. So it's 2 empty cups on a belt is what they were after, but you don't get 2 full cups on a belt. So if I say double belt, in my head these are just weird little things you'll pick up as you become more proficient. Another one, for example, as you might have just seen, I have put my turret over on the opposite side. That's because when I'm guarding upstairs, they will either spawn on one side, C side, or on A side. I've also gone into my text box and I have put combat damage numbers on, which means I can essentially stand where I am now and visually see when an ad is coming, or I can see the damage numbers on my screen, which will indicate they are on the other side. The reason it's important for me to defend upstairs is there are 2 power boxes, one on either side. The ads will spawn, it will be a purple and a chunga. You kind of want to initially ignore the chunga because the purple will beeline for one of these power boxes, as you can see here. If he destroys that, he turns the power off, which means the person in the control room could not see the screen, could not open doors, could not interact with anything in the control room until 2 players, one where you just saw that purple was, and then there's an identical station essentially on the opposite side. 2 players will need to go up and interact with the box on each side simultaneously. Now I did mention the pictures beforehand. The people downstairs are basically playing a game of connect the pretty picture. There are various boxes hidden around the place. I will probably have to show you in another video at some point. Really didn't pick the best role to play for a show and tell on this. But there are various boxes, and when you get close to them, those boxes will open up and show you a picture. If that picture is corresponding with what the person in the control room has called out, you then need to follow the yellow cable, you can see some just above my head, to the correct red box and then shoot that red box. Typically it's all done in pairs, so the person at the far end, so Pause there said that was her box, so I moved down to where her box was located. During this entire interaction as well, there will be alarms. When the alarms go off, you need to pick up rockets and fire it at the turret, otherwise it destroys the entire team. I'm aware I'm talking in an absolute mess, I do apologise. There is quite a lot going on in this interaction, and it's best to sort of explain things as they sort of happen, so you sort of not only are listening to what I am saying and potentially understanding, but you're visually able to see it as well. There is also a weak points encounter which allow you to progress the mechanic even further. Other than that, for the people that stay downstairs, they basically guard their box, follow the picture, and then connect the picture to their dots if it is the correct picture. If it is not the correct picture, you say nothing, just because it can get very confusing with all the communication going on at this point. This is one of the reasons why a lot of raid teams will ask you to be in their discords, or if not, the Division 2 Discord, where you are able to actively participate in raids. This is the aforementioned weak point encounter I spoke about. Basically, as this mechanic progresses, there'll be a bucket full of molten iron that is stopped by various blockages along the rail. At certain points, this door will open when the control room has asked for weak points to be destroyed. They will open the door and someone will have to destroy the weak points in order to progress the mechanic. As a DPS, this is pretty simple once you're in. Like I said, you basically just guard your box and kill ads and shoot the pretty pictures, or the box that aligns with the pretty picture. I'm doing a little bit more. I'm also interacting with rockets, and I'm also doing weak points because I was essentially the spare man upstairs. So I'm floating around, helping out as where it's needed, and also trying to help progress the mechanics. For a new player, you will most likely, or at least the way my team does it, is we will literally just tell you to sit on a box, and if the picture that is called out is yours, you find the corresponding box, or you talk to your partner, because everyone essentially works in pairs. You've got the pair on A side, the pair on C side. The person on B also works alongside the person covering upstairs, and then the control room and the forge act as a pair. This entire encounter really does rely on you to be mostly self-sufficient and work in either on your own or in a group of two. Once you are ready and to progress the mechanic after doing weak points, it now comes for water. Water is something that I showed earlier in the video. You'll either have 15 or 25 as a numeral on the water dials, and you need to get between 80 and 86. A lot of people seem to think it's 90. We aim for 90 because as you put water in, it diminishes very quickly. So just because you put 25 in doesn't mean that the person in the control room will have 25 water. It will go 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, so on and so forth. So we aim for 90 so that when we are able to push the water through to the person in the forge, this will make more sense in the later video, I promise, we are able to do it between 80 and 86. There is a lot going on here, and I've probably made it an absolute complete rambling, and I do apologise for that, but I promise you it's simple as a DPS. You just sit on your box. It's literally it. I've tried to explain as much of it as possible, and I've probably made it a lot more confusing than it needs to be, and I do apologise, but it really is so as simple as sit on your box. Another DPS role you can do in this is doing typically from A side. I know a lot of people tend to sort of chop and change between A and C. I will explain why we don't do this in another video, but you are on basically rocket duty. You help control the ads on A because that's typically the busiest side, along with the fact that there's 3 water points rather than 2. So in order to get the water in quick and efficient, 3 people is helpful. But you'll also be on rocket duty, which means whenever the alarm goes off, there will be rockets already in A, especially if you haven't placed them already. So people will place them there because it's part of the whole job on A side. Kill a rocket, pick the rocket up, put it in A. When the alarm goes off, you pick the rocket up inside the airlock, the person in the control room will open the door, you aim the rocket at the turret and you shoot the turret. The third job of DPS, again, we work it from A, is weak points. So that will require communication with the person in the control room. There's no sound cue for it. The person in the control room will just say weak points, and you just say, when you are ready in A, just say ready in A. It will open up the door on A and you will shoot the weak points. They're highlighted by I'm colorblind, so I can't tell you the color, but there's a small upside down triangle, almost like an arrow indicator. And when you shoot them, you say weak point destroyed. The person in the control room closes the door and then progresses the mechanic. Once that is done, it's all back to DPS. There are only 5 rotations of the pictures, so once you've shot 5 boxes with the pictures, you progress. You do not shoot the boxes with an exotic or a shotgun. I'm going to say that again. you do not shoot the boxes with an exotic or a shotgun. Some people seem to think that some exotics don't bug it out or whatever. That's essentially the reason you don't. It can bug out the mechanic. Scorpio is an absolute massive guarantee to bug out most of the raids, so Scorpio is, unless you know when and where to use it, Scorpio on newer raid members is a no-go. I personally like you to put it back in your stash, just to avoid temptation, but that's me. That's not me trying to be toxic. It's just so many people's panic button in this game when things aren't going wrong is just whack out the Scorpio, and to try and alleviate that, I ask you put it in the stash. However, tangent aside, all exotics and all shotguns have a chance to bug out the mechanic on this raid. So it doesn't always happen. Just because some people have got away with it so far doesn't mean it will never will happen. All exotics and all shotguns when shooting the boxes on boss 2 can bug the raid out. Once you have done the waters, as you saw me do, the person in the forge will progress the mechanic through what they need to do. Everyone who is on DPS runs to the B airlock and we let the boss have it. We absolutely slap the bastard. The door will open and close, as you see here, typically because the healer is on fire. He is burning alive. Once he is at low enough health, we have to throw grenades at him in order to actually kill him. I don't know why. I wish I did. I don't know why it's a thing. I do know if you don't throw the grenade at him and the grenade doesn't blow up during his whole dying mechanic, he doesn't actually die. He just heals and you basically have to start again. I don't know why that's a thing. After you've killed the boss and throw a grenade at him, you exit B airlock and you just shoot ads. Clear the area to finish off the encounter or secure the area. Once you've done that, you can go into the middle of the forge, as I clearly do not forget to do in this show and tell. I just, run off and do into my own little world. But yeah, you run into the forge where he died to pick up your loot. See, I can't even figure out where I'm going. Look, I'm just sort of like, what am I doing? Where am I? Who am I? Oh no, crap, my loot. So yeah, there is a weird bug with this. We typically always try and kill him standing on these metal grates, because sometimes, even after the interaction, if you stand on those coals left and right and around on those grates, even after the interaction, you just die. After you've done that and collected your loot, make your way down the path into this lovely area here, and that is boss 2 done!